every rupee that is subsidized, the government spends 3.5 rupees to make that rupee reach. These are the latest estimates of the government itself. 3.5 rupees to get 1 rupee to reach the poor. And so, if most of the money is going to be spent on unproductive consumption, on subsidies or interest rates, then it's not going to lead to increase in productive expenditure. So where is the government going to get this money from? One is expenditure management, and one is trying to increase on the revenue side, what economists call consolidation, fiscal consolidation. Now, fiscal consolidation is one of the biggest challenges, not only in India, everywhere. Politically, it gets impossible to reduce subsidies, and it's impossible to increase, almost impossible to increase taxes. And thereby, government falls back on 2G spectrum, or in the opening remarks it was mentioned that we'll get some money from this auction that is coming up. Day before yesterday, the empowered group of ministers said that the old players owe us about 27,000 rupees, 20,000 crores rupees. That will ease, if that comes through, that will ease the fiscal condition. But mind you, Pranab Mukherjee has already included 40,000 crores from telecom in the budget, so out of which we are getting 27,000 crores. How much more can we get from the auction, which is going to start in November, remains to be seen. But this is an uncertainty, but I don't think it's really an uncertainty. I think it is almost certain that it will be politically very difficult for the government, especially before 2014, to do any manner of fiscal consolidation. So you cannot reduce subsidies, you cannot increase taxes, and in fact, subsidies, politically expedient programs are going to increase. So the budget deficit of the government, or the fiscal deficit of the
most
government.
states are also asking for special packages. Punjab, Bengal, Bihar is asking for a special status. Jharkhand is asking for more overdrafts. So how do you reconcile that?
Right. So that will only put pressure. Now, if you see the GST, which is hopefully going to come in by 2013, if the GST is introduced, fuel and tobacco is going to be kept out of the GST. But the other, trying to convert India into a single market, just like Europe, and therefore then the allocation of revenues between the center and the states will become easier. I don't know if you know that the way the allocation of revenues between India, federal and the states is done is through what is called the Finance Commission. And there are finance commissions that decide the allocation. And as you're rightly saying, there are increased demands. Mr. Thakare makes these ridiculous comments. I hope this is going to be, stay in our room. And he makes ridiculous comments like Bombay contributes more to the central exchequer, and therefore we should get more grants from the government, right? And Bombay and Maharashtra should only be for Maharashtrians and not for Mumbaikars, as he's calling it. Now, we are moving the other. Europe is trying to unite, and we are trying to create separate markets. And I'll talk a little bit about Europe towards the end. So you're right. All this is going to put increasing pressure on the government's fiscal problems. And I think come 2013, come 2014, our fiscal situation is unlikely to improve. So I'm not sympathizing with Standard & Poor's and Fitch and other rating agencies. I'm not sympathizing with them when they say that we are threatening to reduce the outlook for India. They haven't reduced the rating, they reduced the outlook, right? There's a difference between reducing the rating and reducing the outlook. I'm not terribly sympathetic with them, but we should use this opportunity as a threat to our future and therefore take actions for policy reform. And the third problem that we have is current account deficit. Now, current account deficit, as you know, was one of the major problems that we had in 1991. But the problem we had in 1991 was that we had only $1 billion of foreign exchange reserves, and nobody wanted to do business with us. That's not the situation today. Everybody wants to do business with us. In fact, I travel in my new job. I travel quite a lot. Japanese, Koreans, Taiwanese, increasingly Taiwan investors all want to come to India. All of them. Japanese are waiting to come into India. This Delhi-Mumbai industrial corridor with CEO Amitabh Kant. I don't know if you should Google it and see. There are extraordinary schemes planned there for greenfield cities to come up along that corridor. Because the problem in India has always remained not policy, but the implementation and the vested interest and the corruption and the rules and regulations. But if that project does take off, we'll see a lot of money coming in from Japan. We'll see a lot of money coming in from Korea. As it is, our metros, the metro that runs in Delhi and the Gurgaon metro has been built with the help of Japanese, Korean and Chinese resources. So that's all waiting to come in. So India remains an attractive market for foreign direct investment. If you travel to Nimrana, there is an entire colony of Japanese investment planned, and that money is also waiting to come in. So India remains an attractive market despite all the problems that we are having at the micro level. So therefore, the kind of balance of payments crisis that happened in 1991 is unlikely to repeat itself as long as we remain an attractive market. Why? We have adequate reserves. We may not be able to defend, as Mr. Subbarao also said, I don't have enough foreign exchange reserves to defend my currency at 50. Because remember, people said that 50 is the ceiling, and beyond that, the governor is going to intervene. And then people were surprised when the governor did not intervene, and then one of the deputy governors made the statement that we don't have enough foreign exchange reserves to intervene in the market today and let the rupee find its own level. Now, I'll tell you what he meant or what I think he meant by that, but I'm going back to the point about current account deficits, which is at about 3.5% today and is likely to remain in the neighborhood of 4% for this fiscal year. So that's fairly high, and that's at the danger mark. But we have enough reserves to fund our current account deficit. Our import cover, as they say, foreign exchange reserve divided by the amount of imports, that is about 7 to 8 months. It had reached 14 months, but today it's about 7 months. So that's a fairly good number. But in a world of uncertainty and volatile capital flows, that import cover makes little sense. You're looking at capital outflows much more than you're looking at current account deficit or flows related to the current account. Therefore, Mr. Subbarao and his team makes statements like we don't have enough foreign exchange reserves to intervene in the foreign exchange market. The reason being that import cover is insufficient today, because if capital flows out of your country, not the equity, FDI will not go up, but it's the short-term debt, the ECB borrowings, the short-term portfolio investment. If that withdraws quickly, and it can, we know from Thailand, we know from Korea, we know from Philippines, we know from Malaysia, and we know of course from the experience of the Latin American countries that this can reverse very quickly. In that context, we have enough foreign exchange reserves to cover imports, but we don't have enough foreign exchange reserves to cover volatile capital flows, and that's why the statement. However, it's still, as I said, since a lot of money is waiting to come in. Last year we attracted about $50 billion in foreign direct investment. So I think we are still an attractive market, so there's no cause for panic. There's a cause for worry, but I don't think there's a panic situation.